Hello, 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 and hello.
That's why I was giggling when you brought me on screen.
Hello, Eddie. I'm absolutely certain I hadn't got any inspiration there at all. Hello, hello, hello. It's Friday, and we are back. It's just gone 4. Welcome along, everybody, peeps. Hello, mother. Hello, Eddie. Hello, everyone watching, and Reverend Tony. Hello. How are
Hello.
you?
Hello. I'm fine. I'm fine. We've
Good.
had a busy couple of weeks, but yeah, it's good. It's good.
Definitely, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Well, we are back. Sorry we missed everybody last week, but it is so nice to be back in the hot seat to discuss the world of spirit, the world of humans, the world of everything with you lovely, lovely people. Remember that this is your show. Say hello, get online, join the conversation, start the conversation even.
Yes.
Because you know we will end up steering us down the down the road of the blooper reel for Christmas if we're not careful.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. Yes, my voice is back. It's back with
Yeah,
a
yeah.
vengeance.
It was definitely it needed a break that week, didn't it?
It did. It did. Oh, but it's
Yes.
nice to see the conversation starting.
Yes, absolutely. So hello, Sherry Ann. Yeah, I assume by the fact that you can all hear me, my mic issue is sorted. So yes. Oh my word! I have just got to say this is amazing. Look who is with us at the beginning.
Wow.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba. Hi, Joanne. Good to see you, my lovely. Welcome along. It's so nice to see you. You made it, and it's 4. You were almost as on time as we were.
You know what it's like when you're backstage in the green room and you're rabbiting and you look at the corner of your screen and go, "Oh,
Did you realise it's 5 o'clock already? Weren't we supposed to be on at 4? Yes, yes, bless him. Eddie did lose his voice at one point, and he says people were enjoying the fact that he hadn't got it, but I don't think they were really.
no, no."
But it's lovely to see you. I said, Eddie is paired.
I know. I'm not sure
I'm
what that.
I'm not sure what that means. Um, I've no idea. I will have to Google that later on. Um,
Excuse me, Mama Brown. We have been on time. I think there was one show of a couple of years ago.
yeah, absolutely. In actual fact, I will say we pressed go dead on 4 o'clock the first week.
We did. Yeah,
So so that is that's fake news, Linda. Um,
and I think what's done it this week is we didn't have the Kaza countdown.
we didn't have a Kaza countdown this week. So Kaza, healing thoughts to you, my lovely, if you do get to watch this at some point. But yes, we were 2 minutes late because of no Kaza countdown.
Not
We
our
need
fault.
keeping in check.
Not our fault.
No, no.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is nice to see you early, Joe. So, I hope you've got plenty of thoughts on how to steer the conversation. For those that haven't been on before or in a while, like us, the format is simply this. We will get the ball rolling with discussing our week and the week, but you guys steer the conversation. If you've got any questions, any thoughts that you'd like us to talk about, discuss around, share our opinions and encourage others to do the same. We will bring everybody in as much as we can. Um, bear in mind, it's been a while since I used this system in this way, so I'm still not quite as quick on the trigger as I would like to be. But very often we will star comments if we want to come back to it so that it's in a special list for us to be able to go back and
Yeah.
reference. So just because your comment's gone doesn't mean to say that it won't be brought as a subject, because we do tend to star comments, because you'll
And
quite often see the clue. It'll be Tony will go, Nick, that one. Um,
That one. On that
absolutely.
one.
Stephen, hello. Good to see you. Welcome along. It's nice to see you, my friend. This man had me in a bowl.
Pardon?
This man had me in a bowl. Stephen had me in a bowl.
Did he?
In actual fact, that might be a nice one to start off. Have you ever been stood inside a singing bowl when somebody has bashed it?
No.
Now, Stephen was quite popular at our healing workshop because my God, did he have a big one. And
Mm-hmm.
he also had a tuning fork, and that was massive too. So he's quite popular. Um, and there was this. He had a singing bowl that was big enough for a human being to stand inside.
Wow.
Immense, absolutely immense. And then when the tuning fork went in, I felt the vibrations all the way down to the bottom of my gut. I tell you, it was amazing. So if you ever get the chance to go into see, this is where I struggle. I keep pressing the accidental get ready to block button. He did look a sight in there. Yes, I did. Um, Yeah, it was amazing. So if anybody watching ever gets the chance to go in a stand-in singing bowl, my God, it's amazing. And thank you, Stephen, for bringing it. So hello to Stephen. Stephen.
Stephen.
We've got a few more. I realise I just kind of like just diving into it. There you go. There's another one.
Yeah. Oh, hello, Tracy. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
And of course, we can't miss this young chap.
No, no.
Hello,
Saw
Dan.
him at Scotter Spiritualist Centre. I went to do a dem there, and God love him, Danny and his partner travelled all the way up to see me. It was lovely. We haven't seen him in years, have we, Michael? No.
Yeah. Oh, bless. But yeah, it's lovely to see you again because obviously the only time I ever got to talk to Daniel was on here. So it's been a while, mate. Nice to
Yes,
see
yes.
you. But yeah, I think I've scared Stephen off. Oh, no. He's come back with a vengeance. Stephen is very well known in our area for being a gonger. He's very good with the gongs. He did a sound bath for us because I am going to mention it because I don't mind. He did a bath for us in the village hall, and within 5 minutes I was asleep. Within 7 minutes there was extra acoustics and, shall we say, vibrational accompaniment in the form of me snoring.
These things happen at gong baths.
They do, and these things happen with me. Full stop. I am
Yeah.
a snorer. I can't deny it. But yeah, if anybody ever gets the chance to stand in one of those bowls, do it. It's amazing. And
Can imagine.
especially the tuning fork. I mean, it's got to be about a foot long. And it's got a kind of like a soft point on the bottom and huge tines, and he just bash one, and then boom. I literally, we had a new guy there who also had it done, and he just turned around and he says, "Gets you right in the Kundalini."
Okay.
And I knew exactly what he meant, which was wonderful. But yeah, it really is awesome. So if you ever get chance, Tony, I say take it.
Will do. Will do.
Excellent.
Oh, Ashley. Hi.
We are back, babe. We are back. It's been a while, yes. And it's good to see you too, Reverend. Excellent stuff. Oh, you can call me Rev Knock if you like. People have called me worse. Yes, that's a very good point. The summer solstice, Stephen will be down in Hunstanton for those that are in the general northern East Anglia area. if you want to go to the Solstice festival in Hunstanton, he'll be there with all of his equipment out on the beach, and it's just going to be.
Wow.
And I've really got to start thinking about the way I'm phrasing things because I'm not doing very well today, am I, Reverend?
No. Oh, I will put Val on my healing list.
Yeah, my auntie Valerie had a bit of a tumble, bless her. So healing for Auntie Valerie would be wonderful. We've missed you, darling, too. We've missed seeing you and talking to you, and uh, I thought you might be, love. I thought you might be. But I did see a question of sorts. This one here from Joanne.
Yes, I was just
Got to
scrolling back to
toughen.
that.
Yeah. Isn't it funny how we both end up, circling back on the same wagon? So Joanne says, I've got to toughen up. It's sad how people take your kindness for weakness. No, will have to be a complete sentence moving forward. Yes and no from me. Here's a thought. We live in a world where polar opposites is the preferred destination, where you've either got to be one thing or the other. In some circumstances, quite literally, you've got to be this or you've got to be that. And social media, the news, politics, even some religious practices make an effort to push you in either one direction or the other. This is where we start failing, I think, personally, because we have to be I did say this last night at church, actually. We have to be our authentic self. And we have to be tough. I absolutely agree. But tough in our own boots, tough in our own shoes, and tough in our own stance and position, and not be shifted to one end or the other end of the debate, because any form of extremity and extreme is wrong. And I still maintain this over and over and over again till I'm blue in the face. Most people are somewhere in the centre, be centre right, centre left, but most people are somewhere down the middle of the road, don't give a rat's what's it about what everybody else is doing, just happy to live their life and live and let live. And it's only when we get drawn in by this, you must be this, you must be that, do we end up losing ourselves and being drawn to the ends of the spectrum. And that's where we lose ourselves. So my thought on that, and I'm sure Tony will have a say, and I know everyone else at home will have a say too. Yes, be tough, but be tough in your own position. Be strong and true and confident in your own position. And in the words of the gentleman whose name I shall not mention, never give an inch in terms of the courage of your convictions. Be tolerant and accepting of other people's opinions, absolutely. But that doesn't mean to say you have to change your own views for the benefit of a quiet life, a comfortable life, a happy life, or a peaceful life. And be tough in your own position. Kindness is not a weakness. It needs someone much stronger to stand up and be counted and fight the good fight for the needs of others than it does to just stand back and watch chaos and anarchy rule. So you are already strong, Joe, but the toughness is in the shoes in which you stand and where on the ground you plant them. And I think so long as you follow that path, you can be your true, authentic self, to thine own self be true, and you can still show that strength in kindness.
Yeah.
I do agree. Sometimes we do have to say no. Sometimes we do have to say no, because if you're going to help people, you need to make sure you're safe first. But in terms of your position and opinion on things, stay where you are, love, and make them come to you. Is just my thought. Tony, what do you say?
I completely agree with everything you've just said, Nick. I would follow that up with a personal example of we, Michael and I, we will go out of our way to help anybody who is in need. And there does come a time when you think, hang on, you've actually got more of my resource at the minute than I have, be it financial, be it emotional, be it whatever. You've had more of my resource than I have at the minute. And there does come a point when I don't think it's toughening up. I think it's protecting yourself when you say, actually, not enough. And I think you do you and I will do me, and that's it. Because there is a point where you're not helping anymore, you're enabling.
Yes.
And I think sometimes the kindest and the best thing to do for somebody is to let them fail, so they learn the lessons and they stand back up on their own 2 feet. And then I've said it before, and I will always say it again, I've no doubt, that sometimes you just have to be there to pick up the pieces and help people to recover from whatever it is. That exactly, Tracy. It's taking advantage. And I think sometimes that's a hard lesson for an individual to learn, is to say, no, actually, I'm going to have to let you ride this one out yourself, because I haven't got either the money, the financial resources, the energy, the emotional intelligence at the moment to help you through this situation, because it's I need to protect myself. And I can't help you whilst looking after myself at the minute.
Absolutely. And certainly in terms of the specifics.
Yeah, sorry.
You carry on.
No, I was just going to say it's not toughening up, it's learning self-preservation.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of the specifics of that one, that is definitely people taking the what's it. I think one of the things that people confuse kindness for is a lack of discernment. And I know you, young lady, and you are very discerning. So discern that it's time that in that position, absolutely stand on their own 2 feet.
Absolutely. And Eddie, I just want to pick up Eddie's point. I'm harassed by my neighbours for my beliefs and faiths. Yes, it's with everything where people are judging based on something, that's a them problem. It's not a you problem. So you don't have to justify yourself based on other people's opinions.
Yeah.
So it's 100%. Your faith is your personal faith. It's got nothing to do with anybody. And just while we're on this tangent, can I just travel a little bit further down the rabbit hole?
I thought you might.
We watched a program yesterday. It's been a series, and we're just catching up with it. It's called Pilgrimage.
Right.
And there's 7 celebrities traveling through Austria to up this mountain to a place, and they're all different. There's a Catholic guy, there's a guy who has no particular faith, lots of different stuff going on there. And this chap was talking about the Baha'i faith, which I've never looked into very much at all. And the way he explained faith was perfect for me. He said, if you imagine the Great Pyramid and the capstone at the top is truth, whichever face you climb up to get there, you get to the same place. He said, that's faith.
Yeah.
He says, religion is the path up the side.
Yes.
To take. And there's nothing wrong with starting at one and saying, no, that doesn't fit, and trying another one. It all leads to the same truth, which is where we come from. Yes, we wear collars.
That is the only difference between us and the Baha'i faith.
Yeah. It,
really, and the mediumship, obviously.
but a little incidental, but but no, I just thought that was a beautiful way of explaining it. That
Yeah, it
all
is.
paths lead to the truth. It's just which route you decide to take to get there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm fortunate, Mike, because I'm now on the committee of a Little Port Village Hall, and one of our committee members is Bahi, and he occasionally discusses things with me. And at one point, up until he got poorly, he was actually going to come on one of the workshops because they also believe that part of their faith is to understand other religions. I have got my finger on the button, ready to come to that. So yeah, I absolutely agree with you in terms of the Bahi. They do have certain differences, like they don't have a ministry. But yeah, absolutely that core root of our, for want of a better term, philosophy in terms of the path to the Great Spirit and understanding thereof. I feel extremely synonymous with them.
Mm,
I worked with a lady who was, so there's quite a big Bahi following around here. So I've been fortunate to have a bit of input, and your analysis is absolutely correct.
it sounds fascinating. It is one I've
It really is.
bookmarked it, and I'm going to go back and have a good rummage through the books and things. But yeah, it was fascinating, absolutely fascinating. And
Yeah, absolutely.
there was um, a young lady on there who she's a journalist and a TV presenter who follows the faith of Islam,
Yes.
but she calls herself a modern Islam because she says I can't reconcile my faith with all of the horrendous things that have been done in the name of Allah. And there was one of the Catholic guys that were on there said the same thing. He said, I feel that way about Christianity because what has been done in the name of God doesn't reflect my version of Christianity. And it's that tension between, you know, because we've said it, Nick, nowhere in the Bible does it tell you to hate anybody based
Correct.
on anything. The Bible is all about love. So it's that tension for me, and how do we reconcile that? Like in spiritualism, there's a lot of things go out in the name of spiritualism that don't talk about my faith at all.
Yeah, and in actual fact, isn't spiritualism, and I think this is where we are. I think in the late 90s, early 2000s, we made a rod for our own back as a spiritualist movement. And I don't think there's much that would change my mind on that, although I'm open to discussion, of course.
Obviously.
But the idea that in the late 90s, early 2000s, philosophy was sacrificed for the sake of bums on seats. And those bums on seats brought different ideas, practices, and philosophies into the church, which is, again, absolutely fine. But they were quite often in opposition or counter to the practice of spiritualist philosophy, and have then taken over and taken charge. So, for the sake of bums on seats, we stopped talking about what we actually believe other and beyond the mediumship. And the old saying goes, you don't have to be a spiritualist to be a medium. And there are plenty of mediums out there that aren't spiritualists.
Absolutely.
And therefore, spiritualism in its own right as an identity, if not a religion, as a way of life, as a science, as a philosophy, has kind of lost its momentum, lost its way for the sake of bums on seats. And I feel that that's where we've lost our ability to be a force for good, because the whole idea that we're sick and tired of people hanging personal opinions on religion like a Christmas tree
Mm.
is something that is very strongly a spiritualist tenet. The irony is, I will say, the origins of Bahi is in Islam.
Mm.
And in Islam, you can ask anyone who has read the Quran, the God of Jewish faith, the God of Christian faith, and the God of Islam is identified as being the same God. Because they're all Abrahamic faiths, which means the God of Abraham.
Yeah.
Well, at the time of Abraham, there was no Judaism, no Christianity, and no Islam. Because we're going back about 5,000 years. Well, Judaism is about 3 or 4 thousand years before Christ. 2,000 years ago, Christianity. Around about 1,500 years after that, I believe, began Islam. So the original Elohim, um, is from before any of those religions. But because of differences in culture, determination, differences in region, differences in practice, human beings have hung their stuff on those faiths like Christmas trees, and suddenly everyone's hating on each other. You've only got to look at social media to see that that's what's going on right now.
Absolutely.
This is my way. This is my way. If you're not with me, you're against me. The enemy is this. The enemy is that. And it gives people, and I strongly believe, and this kind of segues into Sharon's comment, it gives people permission to be, quite bluntly, arses.
Yes. Yes.
Because a lovely, lovely lady, one of our fellow ministers of the ISA, Reverend Sharon Sinclair. Hi everyone, I'm being bullied at our allotment really badly. Flowers broken, dog has been attempted to be poisoned, and windows broken on the greenhouse. Welcome to 2025, my friends, where
Yeah.
it's okay because of someone's belief or because of the way someone looks or the way someone talks. It's okay to do all of that. No, it really, really
Yeah.
isn't. And this is where the strength and courage of convictions, but also the ability to reach out and get help. Because there's this very, very favourite phrase that's thrown around a lot lately. It's making a bit of a comeback. Oh, the Christian way is an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. No, it actually isn't, because that's exactly opposite what he said. He referenced that we'd been told it and then went on to say turn the other cheek. Now, in this modern world, that's very, very hard to do. But that doesn't mean to say that we should be alone and put up and shut up. We have the right to seek help, seek support, seek some kind of regional and local justice. Um, Obviously, never take it into our own hands, but try in our inner self to rise above it in the moment so that we can go out and seek help and get that support and get that guidance and get an external authority to bring the assistance that it's supposed to do.
Yes.
Or am I just being daft and living in a dream world?
No, I completely agree. And for me, it's true what I was told from being at school, that bullies are just cowards.
Yeah, they are.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And the worst thing is, it looks from all that Sharon said in the chat, and that's all I've got to go off, that they haven't actually done anything in person. They
No.
haven't confronted Sharon in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Probably thrown words and, these childish stares. You're absolutely right, Tony. A bully is only a bully because they have no one else to take it out on, but they are always doing their best to do it unseen.
Yes.
And that's just
It's beyond contemptible for me.
it is. And you know what? It's really, really sad to be able to sit here in 2025 and say 250,000 years of human evolution is stuff that happened to other people.
Yeah.
You know. Yes. So we send our healing thoughts, Reverend. I've got some information for you as well, lovely Sharon. I will be in touch over the weekend. But yeah, the support in the comments says it all.
Yeah.
But seek support, seek help, and don't suffer in silence is all I would say.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And of course, we do send our healing thoughts.
Absolutely.
And speaking of healing,
Yeah.
Joanne says, I did my healing course at a spiritual church and had a rule that the church wouldn't be run on inspirations from spirit. So I did my healing course at a spiritual church that had a rule that the church wouldn't be run on inspirations from spirit. Before I get myself in huge amounts of trouble, can you qualify what they meant by inspiration? Are they saying that the church will not be run based on suggestions and guidance and support from spirit, and that they had a firm, solid set of rules, and that's it? It was unmoving and unchanging. Because if it is, it sounds like a very old-fashioned church.
Mm. That's why I asked if you'd highlight it in the
Yeah,
private chat, because I need a bit more information before I can pass comment.
yeah. Whilst we're waiting for you to give a bit of clarification on that, Joanne, I am lovely comments of support and assistance. Hello, Sarah. Lovely to see you out and about. Sending love to obviously the lovely Sharon Sinclair. Interesting question. If it is based on what you do for your way of life, it is classified as religious persecution, and it is a hate crime.
Yep.
They might not like it, but we are a legally recognized faith. Whether you are Christian spiritualist, whether you are spiritualist. And so if it is based on your um, spiritual philosophies, then it is religious persecution and it is a hate crime. It's as simple as that. Christian spiritualists are designated by the government as being Christians, and all of the extra rules that go with that as well. That's all I'm saying. Say no more. So loving the support. It just shows what a real community is. Joanne says yes. So it's basically they're saying that spirit are not allowed to have a say in how the church is run. I've got to be honest, I'd love the opportunity to have a say in the way my church is run. And I mean my church as in the one I attend, because it is the congregation's church. But I don't get a word in edgeways because the congregation have a say. All of those that come week in, week out have a say. Mum tells me what to do. Eunice tells me what to do. Spirit tell me what to do. So I make up my mind based on what all of they've got to say. I don't get a word in edgeways, basically.
Well, all I can say is we set up the ISA based on what Spirit were telling us was the right thing to do.
Wow. Hello, Samantha. You're all right. Don't worry about being late. Hello, Wayne. Good to see you. And in the the main news tonight is that apparently there are churches that say spirit aren't allowed in any kind of influence on how a church is run. This was put up on the wall in the tea room as informative from the leaders.
Wow.
The leaders.
Yeah.
Cult.
Yeah, it does smack a bit of. I mean, for a start, the last word in that comment is the people who actually lead the church are the people who come in every week and sit down in the congregation, and the people who visit from the higher realm of life, because
Yes.
they are the only important mix in what's happening in that building. And that's all it is. It's a building. The church are the people who come into it, and yeah, like Nick said, it's his church in that it's the church he attends and is the minister in, but it's the church belongs to everybody.
Yes, I mean my role as the minister of Littleport is not as a leader, but as a facilitator.
Yeah, yeah,
I facilitate the will of spirit, the will of the membership, the will of those that come in. I mean, it's a perfect example. I mean, it never happened because of various different reasons, special and important ones. We had a passing of one of our members of our congregation. We were going to have an Easter dress up. We did at Christmas, and it was basically 1 week in November. A group of the members comes along and says, "We want to dress up in, sleeping bags and hoodie, onesies and pajamas, and have a pajama party for the last service of the new year. What do you think?" And I said, "Get on with it.
off you go."
Yeah, do it. Put the word out. Tell me what you want me to say. I'll say it as part of the notices. Let's do it. Because if you give people within and this is why I'm a facilitator. If there is something that is like, we want to come dressed up as, I don't know, we want to come in dressed as a matchstick and douse ourselves in petrol and set light to ourselves at the end of the night. My suggestion would be maybe not. Why don't we all wrap ourselves in paper and have a little torch on our head and dress up as a candle to kind of like find that safe middle ground?
Yes.
But my job is not to say no. My job is to say, let's look at it from another angle because of this.
Yeah.
In those terms. But as far as, I mean, let's face it, you know what we do at Littleport.
You mean run up and down in tutus when the raffle's been pulled? Yeah.
That sort of thing, yeah. Plus the idea that we do let spirit have the run of it, because instead of having the reading followed by the philosophy, we have the philosophy followed by the reading to see where that resonance is between the two, because philosophy is supposed to be spirit led. The reading is chosen by somebody, but we know they are guided by spirit to do it. So let's use that as proof that spirit are there having an influence over it. So I think to sit there and say that we look, I tell you what, Tony, I think I'm getting a bit more grumpier in my old age. And it's lovely to see you, Matthew.
Yes,
we miss you. I love your new home. I love your new home.
I know. I want to go and have a little corner of a field
we need a tent. We need to go and pitch a tent in your field, Matthew.
A mobile home in the corner.
Yes, maybe that's safer. There's no double meaning in a mobile home. It takes us back. I think this whole subject takes us back to what we were discussing earlier in terms of losing our identity. I have got nothing against a group that just wants to meet for mediumship, but don't call it spiritualism, because it's not. If you do away with the philosophy, if you do away with the spirit input in terms of what we do and how we do it, it's a social club, not a church. That's absolutely fine. Just call it that. Do not call... I'm sorry. My grandfather used to have a saying about dressing a pig up in lipstick and calling it a baby.
Yeah.
Do not pretend it's something it is not. Call it what it is. If it's a social club, Great, it's a social club. Chances are, as somebody who is so immersed in the spiritualist movement as I am, and I'm sure you'd be the same, sometimes it'd be nice to just turn up to a social club with mediumship just for a bit of a break and a laugh. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't try and pretend that you are a church. Don't try and pretend that you are something you are not. We've been talking all day and me all week about being our authentic selves. If you want a mediumship social club, have a mediumship social club, but then don't run around telling people that they can't have a spiritual philosophy and that the world of spirit cannot have an impact on the work we do. As a medium, as a minister, as a spiritualist, my bosses are those in the realms of light who speak on behalf of the Great Spirit and channel the will of the Great Spirit to make the world a better place for all of us. End of for me. And
Yeah.
so it's absolutely fine if you want to have a spiritual social club, great, but don't call it a church because it ain't. And I can see there's wonderful comments about the philosophy being so much. The philosophy is the message that people get when they don't get a message from spirit.
Exactly. And you wouldn't go into a C of E church or a Catholic church and not expect a homily. You know,
Yeah,
it just wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen. It wouldn't be a service. And I agree, it would be lovely to just rock up and do a lot of readings and you know leave. That would be great.
yeah,
Absolutely
yeah,
great. But for me, and this may sound a bit dismissive, and I don't mean it to, based on what we've just been saying about it's great to have a social group that does mediumship. That's wonderful. I would be as happy and feel more spiritual doing a service of philosophy,
yeah,
because for me, that's where the true teaching from spirit comes in.
yeah, absolutely.
You know, because individual messages are just that, they are individual messages for that person. Yes, other people might resonate with bits and pieces of the message, but the philosophy is where spirit get to talk to everybody in the room
Yeah,
and say, now listen here. What you're doing has been winding us up something chronic, and we think we should come down and kick butt.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I've obviously in the last couple of years since I've given up shift work, I've been able to take bookings in other groups and other places. I don't just work for certain types of groups or churches. I work from all. If they invite me, I'll go along. And you know what? And this is something I think it's quite important as well, and is being lost. If I go to a group as a medium, I will work the way they require me to work, so long as it isn't in breach of my sense of self and morality. If they are as Ashley said, there's nothing wrong with a mediumship group or a spiritual group. It's exactly what I was saying about. Yes, I totally agree. Just don't call yourself something that you're not because of that expectation of a certain term. But if I go to a group and they don't want me to do philosophy, I won't do it. If I go to a group and I mean, quite often I'll go to groups that aren't necessarily a church group, they're just a centre, which again is absolutely fine. If they're having a collective thing like a psychic supper or something, Nick, can we ask you, would you do an opening prayer to start us off? Of course I will. I'd
Yeah.
love to. Pleasure. But if I go into a church, I will fit around what it is that is their way of working, so long as it isn't breach of my morals and principles, which 99% of the time it never would be, because we like to have this, we like to have that, but we don't do that. Is that all right? It's your house. You don't
Yeah.
go in and tell somebody what to stock in their fridge.
No.
So why would I go into another church? But likewise, when someone comes to a church that does have philosophy, just have a bit of respect for it, because it is one of the most important parts of the spiritualist way of life, because you don't learn a way of life from just getting proof of survival. You
No.
get it from life lessons and thought provoking and interaction with concept and idea. And I think the minute we lose the interaction of concept and idea is the moment we lose our identity, and we might as well just hang up our boots and go home.
Yeah. I think that would be the day when I took this off.
Yeah, me too.
No, that no. But it is that part of the service, like you say, where spirit get to tell you what they foresee for our way of life. And I've got to be honest, I've been in churches and heard philosophies that have really made me stop and take stock.
Yeah.
And think, wow, hang on, that's a bit, I don't know, it's uncomfortable, but let me process it.
Yeah.
And see what it is. And there's a lot of learning comes from that.
There really is.
Whether you agree with it or not, it's something that you take apart and think, why has that made me uncomfortable? Why has that person's philosophy sat a little bit edgy with me? And
this is something I've missed and I haven't thought about, and I really, really need to.
Yeah.
I do, because we've got on Monday, we've got our online spiritual debate on Monday, which anybody can come to globally, worldwide. It's only £2. It's on Zoom. We have 2 hours. You bring the questions, we discuss it. The ones I love are where the ones I'm sitting there thinking, oh, I don't really know what I think about this. Because it's expanding me. I love to be challenged. I love to be pushed. And I love to be asked difficult questions, because if you can't answer a difficult question, you've got no right to tell people the will of spirit. Because the will of spirit changes and evolves with human understanding. And if you are so stuck and set in your ways that you are unchanging, hey, there was anyone who's watching who's in my circle is going to be sick of hearing this. There was a movie called The Two Popes. I gotta say, it was amazing casting. They had Anthony Hopkins as Pope Benedict, and they had Jonathan Pryce as Pope Francis. And Pope Francis was saying to Benedict, God is like the weather, it's always changing and always on the move. And Benedict says, well, in that case, where do we find God? And Francis says, on the journey.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's like,
yeah. It exactly. It's that. I've been a Christian now for 58 years, and my understanding of faith is ever changing and ever evolving, because it's just immense, and different things give you different viewpoints and different perspectives on it all. And Sherry Ann, I like that comment of, keep it in the back burner till you're ready to understand whatever it is. Never dismiss it. No.
Yeah. I like difficult questions, but I would never refer to as somebody as difficult. In actual fact, I think it's quite insulting, but I like people to be challenging. I like people to be challenging. And I know that there are some that shy away from people like that. I don't. I embrace them. I love a challenge because it makes me think outside the box. It makes me think about the way I'm saying things. Can I change the way I'm saying it? Am I making myself clear enough? So yeah, I agree. A good mentor does not call somebody difficult.
Just picking up Ashley's point there about fast food philosophy of recent years. I was once told when I came off rostrum, and you go into the back room to sort out everything else, and they said, Your philosophy was very interesting, but it didn't reference one of the 7 principles. And I thought, oh, I didn't know it had to.
Depends which organisation you're affiliated to, dear.
I just thought, oh, okay.
I'm aware of somebody who got told off for finishing their philosophy with a question.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, isn't that an interesting way to end it, though?
I'll be honest with you, I think that philosophy should end with a question. The question of thought of those that are listening to it. You know, if you're sitting there and telling people things, you are dictating. But if you're getting them to think for themselves and finishing with a question that gets people thinking, that for me is the point of philosophy. It's not about me standing up and saying, X plus Y equals Z, amen. It's, have you ever thought of this? Have you ever thought of that? Have you ever thought of the other? You know, I mean, I going back to my my good friend there, Eddie, who mentioned you don't call people difficult. I love it when he comes on and challenges me. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? What do you think? And that gets me thinking. You know, so of course philosophy should have questions. And I think if we were to limit ourselves to the 7 principles, I think that we would be doing a disservice to spirit. But with the greatest of respect to the statement, it didn't include the 7 principles. I was under the impression that people were saying that the 7 principles covers every level of debate topic involving the world of spirit. So we should make up our minds on that one. But I think if we limit ourselves to a certain set of topics, and if we sit there dictating to people how to think, I know I'd be talking to an empty room very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And I deserve to.
And I think, I mean, I have certainly noticed dwindling numbers in certain churches as I've been going around recently. And I think that could be some of the issue, that there isn't that higher perspective like I've just put up on the screen.
Yeah.
There's just the same regurgitation of stuff every week, and there's nothing to challenge, to nurture, to feed that flame inside, because I think that's what we need to be doing, is just giving people that guidance and the tools to find their own way.
Yeah. He needs a ladder for his higher position. See, this is what I love about Eddie. He'll throw a joke in. It keeps it light. It keeps it uplifting. You know, I'm loving the fact that there's about 3 different conversations going on in the chat as well. Keep it up, guys, because this is what community is. Community is as community does, it communes. And you no, I'm with you on that, Tony. Completely agree. When we don't, you said about we're there to just point things out. It's like, there's something like that over there. There's something like that over there. There's something like that over there. It's like back when I used to work in a shop. It seems like a lifetime ago now, but it's only 3 years. Somebody would come in and say, have you got X or Y? And I'd say either yes or no. But I wouldn't just rest on that. I'll never forget. This is really weird story. This lady come in, and it was Christmas Day. And she come in absolute blind panic. I've got friends coming round for Christmas. She was, I believe, if memory serves me, she was actually Hindu. And she said, I need your help. And I was like, hello, what's up? She says, I've got friends coming round and I've just promised to cook them Christmas dinner. And I went, you're fine. So what do you need? She says, I need stuffing. And I went, right. She goes, have you got any? Well, being Christmas Day, not a lot of fresh food. And there wasn't any of the pre-packed sausage meat stuffing. I said, so I'm really sorry, we haven't got that. But we have got some sausages and we have got some onions. Well, what's that got to do with it? I said, well, that's all it really is. If you grab a packet of sausages, cut the skins off, stick the sausage meat in a bowl, chop an onion up, chuck it in there, mix it all up and bake it for 45 minutes, then you've got exactly what you needed. I know it's a little bit more work, but you can say you cooked them fresh, made it yourself. And she went, is that it? And I went, yeah, pretty much. I mean, you can add some chestnuts, you can add whatever you like, really, but that's the basics of a stuffing mix. She went, well, I didn't come in here for a cooking lesson, but thank you ever so much. She bought the sausages, she bought the onions, and it turned out that she was a relative of one of our senior managers, so wrote a letter, which was really, really nice. But she was ever so lovely, and that's what our job is. Is there a way of doing this? Well, there is, but that way is not accessible right now, so have you considered trying this? It's then for the person to decide. That's our role as that's exactly how we should behave in terms of our spiritual philosophy. That's how we should guide and direct. We're coming into this way of life wanting to move forward with their spiritual progression and development. The tools to find their own way. As Cherry says, the tools to find their own way. We might not always have the stuffing, but we might have the sausage meat.
Yeah, exactly. And I love this question.
The bottom one.
Is it right to challenge on purpose?
Yes.
If I could take the lead on this just for 1 second.
Please do, darling.
I have absolutely no issue in, to quote Michael, poking the bear every now and again. Because I remember somebody rewrote the Lord's Prayer in a very modern format. And there was an absolute stink on Facebook. Absolute stink. And it was just like, all he did was change the words. The meanings were the same. The intent was the same.
A bit more understandable too.
Yes. But I absolutely think, like, there was a chap came to Parkgate Spiritualist Church when I was going there, and he said, I knew what Spirit wanted me to say and I couldn't think how to phrase it. And then I listened to a folk album and this song had exactly the meaning in it. So he sang his philosophy.
Wow.
And they sat with, yes, Ashley, I love that. And he sang his way through it. And people from the committee did sit with their faces like smacked behinds for a little while, but I thought it was wonderful. I don't think there's anything wrong as long as, like Nick said, you're not breaking any moral or ethical convention in just saying, no, we're going to throw it out the window today and we're going to do it different. Mm-hmm. Nothing wrong with that at all. Because that's how we grow. That's how we learn. That's how things develop. It's by challenging the norm and just pushing the boundary a little bit to say, does this work or doesn't it? Because if it doesn't, you just don't do it again.
Yeah.
As long as it's not offending anybody, as long as it's not being disrespectful, absolutely fine. I love swapping things up and just changing things. Just to pick up on that Lord's Prayer bit, it doesn't say you must say this. It says something like, Our Father who art in heaven.
The original Aramaic statement from a man called Joshua ben Yosef say something like this. Absolutely, my friend.
It's got to come from the heart. I mean, it's got to. yes, sometimes opening and closing prayers, if I'm in a church, they tend to be roughly the same, but odd
Yeah.
words tweak. Just because I want to get through it, because I know Spirit are already prodding me in the back and saying,
Yeah.
come on, come on, come on, come on. So, but as long as it comes from the heart, and as
Yes.
long as it sets intention, go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
This is why when I start a meditation, I don't just say prayer. I say state your prayers, affirmations, and intentions, because they are three separate things. I completely agree with you, Tony. And in actual fact, to back up what everyone is saying, I will just say for those that aren't on the same page as Ashley, I can see t-shirts already.
Yeah.
We may not have the stuffing, but we have the sausages. We've got Eunice saying, if you do it your way and it feels right, then I believe it is absolutely fine.
Absolutely.
Um, Cherry Ann says, bring it back. There are many interpretations of the Lord's Prayer. Completely agree. To feel that you are wrong for doing what Eddie is just about to be shown on the screen is saying, I think is out of order. I
Yeah.
just wanted to let Spirit lead. How can we not be okay with that? You know,
I think I just,
there's no mountain on earth that can ever outlive the soul.
yeah.
Absolutely. Joanne, absolutely agree. A prayer is individual. It's not wrong to say it your own way. That's inspiration. Ashley says, a dear medium, a friend of mine, sang her poem, a beautiful song about war and loss for Armistice Day. Not a dry eye there. And yes, Mum, you're absolutely right. We now sing our healing prayer. You know the
I
healing
know,
prayer
it's
that I had,
beautiful.
and Lynn, bless her, who wrote like 95% of what we now say as she sent me a message and actually rung me up and said she loves it too. You know, and to that point that Ashley just made, Eunice wrote a poem for our Rusty who passed a couple of weeks back, and she put it through an AI music maker with Tony's help, the other Tony, obviously, healing leader Tony. At her husband, you know, the one that isn't her husband is sitting with me, the one that is sitting with her. Hello, both of you. And it was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous, and again, not a dry in the house. But I think I will leave my statement not in my own words, but in the words of, yes, very good point, Karen. They sing the Lord's Prayer in churches when she went to Canada. Yes. And the Lord's Prayer is a hymn in the old spiritualist hymn book.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
How can
I,
anybody read the lyrics in those books? They're
I,
tiny.
I use the Zoom function.
Yeah.
Zoom function. But it's actually something Pope Francis said, because there's a lot of videos of things he said over the years resurfacing. And I'm actually with him on this one about prayers. My brothers and sisters, please, please, I beg of you, when saying your prayers, don't be a parrot. Speak from the heart.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I have to say, I do love the Lord's Prayer. I do love
Oh
the Lord's
yeah.
But yeah, I it's like if somebody has the same conversation with you every single day,
Mm.
you'd be like, oh, not you again.
Yeah.
You know, imagine hearing however many billion people saying that over and over and over to you every single day. You'd be a bit like, no.
Think of it in terms of an email. You feel like you're being spammed.
Yeah.
Because the thing that I find frustrating about the Lord's Prayer is that so many people say it and not actually know what they're committing themselves to. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Great
Yeah.
Spirit, we promise to make earth heavenly.
Yeah.
They say it 2-3 times and then go out the yard after the service and start bitching and moaning about each other. Yeah, that's really going to help. So I actually encourage. I hate prayers deliberately and specifically being done by rote. It has to have an element of person and personality. So as far as I'm concerned, Eddie, you carry on just the way you are.
I
And
didn't know his name was Art.
there's a joke about the kid who said was asked what's God's name and they said Howard. Our Father Howard in heaven.
Yes. 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 And
Yeah, I
I
think
had
I think I messed that one up a little bit thinking about it, but it's been a long day.
there was a lad I was at school with, and the Lord's Prayer always made him giggle because he would say, "Lead us not into temptation."
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
yeah.
See, this is my point. Well done, Mother. Oh, Eddie, don't ever change. Your
Yeah.
personality shines through. If and again, it comes back to be your authentic self. When you show your personality in your work, right from the very basics of a prayer through philosophy, through mediumship, there would be no point having a guest medium. There would be no point having Howard be thine. Thank you, Joanne. See, I had messed up the punchline. Howard be thy name.
Yes.
Howard. Hallowed Howard. Yeah, I did the wrong line, didn't I? Yeah,
Yeah. It's fine. It
it's been
still
a
works.
long it's been a long week, darlings. Um,
Yeah.
he's home. And I don't mean God. Definitely don't mean God. But yeah, it is when your personality shines through. It engages people. It interests people. Ooh, we have a nice. Do you want me to show this one on the screen, Eddie? Well, I'm going to. I only change when questioned by a police officer.
Yes.
Cherry Ann's comment, Tony. And my thoughts, Nick. When I went to my Christian church, I was 12 years old. In the choir, I would look down to the congregation, and people didn't take in what they were saying, and that's so sad. I think it proves the point, doesn't it, mate?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It is, and it's when I've seen it in churches as I've been going around, when you can see the people who are just there to get a message from Spirit and nothing else. And if you're not going to them, they're sat and they're going, and then they'll, and you think,
Why? Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
and it's just, and it needs that thing about, at that point, it's they're doing things by duty, not by,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
I was just going to say it, and it's, well, our Spirit going to tell me what I need to do to get more money in the bank? Our Spirit going to tell me what to do to get the tall, dark, handsome boyfriend? And it's like, if they did love, I'd be having him, not you. So,
Yeah.
but it's not about, that's something that actually the guy who won Traitors is on this pilgrimage program. And that's something he was saying, that when he joined the army and left home, he found his prayer changed, because when he was at home and he was with his family, it was very much, oh, I need to get out of this rut. I need to get a new job. I need to get a new car. My car's breaking down, da da da. When he left home and went to the army and was posted overseas, he said, I found myself praying for my family, for the guys I was with, for, keep them safe, keep them, let me get home to my family all right next year, and this, that, and the other. It's about, we've just said that higher perspective of that shifting, it being a shopping list. Oh, I want a new car, I want a new watch, I want a new latest iPhone, I want, it's not Santa Claus we're talking to, it's God.
Yes, God invented Santa Claus to deal with your shopping list. Get over it. Yeah, I'm so glad you said that, because I was sitting here biting on the, it's like Santa Claus, isn't it? But yeah, God invented Santa Claus so you can send him the shopping list. He's the spirit world's Amazon.
Yeah.
God is the customer service department, not the orders and sales line.
Yeah, exactly. It is true. That's everything I pray about is about healing for the world, and actually healing for those people whose views I feel at the minute are a bit skew-iff, and I just want them to see the light and to stop being so. If I'm being truthful, and you know what I'm talking about, Nick, I worry about what people have gone through to be that paranoid about the minutiae of what other people are doing in their lives.
Yes.
It's painful to me that somebody is that damaged by something that they're that scared of other. I think it was Ashley who said something about otherness earlier on. And I want those people to be better and to be comfortable about themselves so that they can stop being vitriolic to other minorities. We're talking about less than 1% of the population that are being vilified.
Yeah.
And it's frightening that, like I said, people have that much fear of other people. And I mean other people, not people who are other than themselves.
Absolutely.
And like you've said before we came on, the focus is already shifting to another minority. And it's frightening to me that, like I said, these people are so paranoid and insular that they can't admire the beauty of
difference
and
individuality.
Tony, can you and Nick give me us guidance, because Nick, you know what I'm saying.
Didn't take in what they were saying. Yes, absolutely. The guidance on the subject in which we're talking about. We have actually had a similar, and this is the reason, we've had a similar conversation this week about people who are angry. What is it that's actually broken them to be that angry and so hateful? That's what she's asking for.
Oh, right. I think it's from my perspective, it's either come from a childhood trauma or some other learned behavior where they can't accept anybody who has a difference of any sort. And but stuff's happened to me in the past. I've had some SH1T happen in my life. Michael has. We all have.
Yeah.
But for me, this is where my faith came in, because rather than bottle that up and let it fester and become this infected, gooey, horrible mess, I processed it. I prayed about it. I learned from it and realized that I keep saying it. It's about that person. It's not about me. It wasn't a reflection on me. Let them do them and let me do me. That's fine. But I think some people just hold on to that anger and that bitterness and just fester on it and fester on it to the point where it poisons their whole system. And you can't. The other part to this, and I wasn't going to go on such a rant about it today, but let's get there. That old saying about by allowing somebody else's light to shine bright doesn't dim yours.
Yes.
I think that's a lot to do with especially the current situation I'm talking about. People are horrified that other people are getting rights and privilege, and they can't stand that. So they've got to jump up and down and scream about it and have a tantrum and make it about them again. And I think that's a lot of what's happened over the last few months, years, that people have been so embittered that other people are gaining rights and gaining privilege and living their freest, truest, honest self, that it's frightening to them.
Yes.
Because the spotlight is shifting from all my books and all my wonderful stuff that I've done in my life to this person over here. And I'm not having that. I want the spotlight back over here on me. So I'm going to lie on my back and kick my feet and scream and paddy until somebody looks at me and pays me some more attention.
Yeah.
That is what I think is happening. And whether you agree with, I'll say it, the rights of trans people or not, how does that impact your life?
Yes.
How does that diminish your life and your existence and your millions in the bank and everything? It's about letting somebody else's light shine bright because it ain't dimming yours down. Sorry, here endeth the lesson.
Actually, I'm now going to continue it.
Sorry.
You know, I'm always trying to be the voice of reason, but sometimes even I struggle. I always try and see the opposite perspective. But
I've tried, Nick. I really have tried.
I've got to say this. You show me a bully and I will show you a victim. This is an absolute truth that I have found in my entire life. Now, when it comes to any situation, but particularly in the topic of which we are speaking right now, humans love to run with the crowd. People love to be with, and in actual fact, I think somebody mentioned it about running with your own group. People love to be a part of their own group. People love to feel that they are also a part of something bigger than themselves. That's why religion and faith exists, after all, because it's this desire to be part of something bigger than you are and bigger than any of us, and we're part of that, and it's a great feeling. The problem is, in this day and age, in particular in terms of communication and social media, I mean, you made a very valid point there, Tony. The actual topic of debate recently, certainly in terms of this, is a very minute number of people.
Less than 1%.
But those that are spinning the hatred are making out, and in actual fact, one very prominent individual person. Sorry, I slipped there for a second. One very prominent person said, "It's everywhere. It's everyone. It's taking over the world." You know, because the more you see that, the more you start to believe it, and you feel that your place in the world is being stabilized, and everything you thought you understood is being outnumbered. And frankly, that is BS. When I see it, I call it. It's bull. When people are standing up on a platform and making out that there's this huge group of people coming to take away everything that's yours, Let me put something quite bluntly. I like the meanings of words. I love words. I am addicted to words. I want to know the definitions. I want to know the etymology. I want to know where it came from, what original language it was, what the original meaning is, and how it's changed over the years. One unchanging concept, that equality means for the same for everyone. So when you want equality, you have to include everyone. That means you cannot exclude someone. But that means that the enemies of truth, the enemies of unity, the enemies of peace will keep pushing this point that they are not after equality. They are after taking away everything that you have. And it's a very, very few voices, but they have the loudest ones. And the problem is this. Every single day, we are hearing about the enemy. But who or what is the real enemy? Is it someone who dresses different to you? Is it someone who feels different to you? Is it someone who looks different to you? No, the enemy itself is fear. The enemy itself is hate. The enemy is the one who tells you that you are not allowed to think and feel the way you are. Because that hatred and that fear will not only destroy those individuals that are being attacked, it will end up turning in on you and destroying you. We have to rid the world of fear, and we have to rid the world of hate, because only through education and factual facts, not what's that phrase that they used the other day? Good facts, as opposed to real facts. Only by looking at the real facts like statistics, numbers, and actual really diving deep into it, can you actually get the concept of how absolutely bloody ignorant the whole argument is.
Yeah.
Statistically, you are more at risk from someone you know than a stranger. Statistically, you are more at risk from a straight man than you are any other kind of man. But that doesn't mean to say that I'm now suddenly afraid of every straight man I meet. Because the number of people in the world versus the number of people that actually want to do you harm is a needle in the haystack.
Yeah.
This goes back to what I was saying right at the very beginning. The pendulum. Kaza, we both know the pendulum. She wrote a very, very nice piece about the pendulum. You've got the extreme on one side, the extreme on the other. It's very lonely up there. The air is very thin, and it's very, very grumpy on both sides of that pendulum. Most people want an easy life and will walk down the middle.
Yeah.
What we need to do is help people understand why they feel fear and why they feel hate. Because most of the time, we externalize our own fear and our own hate, and it's easier to do it to someone who isn't like us.
Yeah.
But the fact is, in the words of Commander Data, if you prick me, do I not leak?
Yes. Yes.
We are all the same inside. Physically and biologically, if you were to strip away the outer layer of skin, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. And in terms of spirit, you absolutely cannot tell the difference.
No. No.
And so I know, Cherry Ann, you've tried explaining. I'm going to give you the one piece of advice that I can only give in this kind of situation. There was somebody who used to like to wind me up like a cheap clock. So one day I just took my spring out because they can't wind me up anymore. If
No.
people know where your buttons are, switch to digital rather than analog. If people know how to wind you up, take away the key or the... Yes, Karen, please read The Pendulum on Sunday. Really important right now. Beautiful, beautiful piece of work she did there. If they know how to wind you up, take out your spring or take away the key. If they know which buttons to press, take away buttons and go digital touchscreen. That is the only way to deal with it. But they must, in the end, look upon themselves. And we can't make people look at themselves. We can shine a light on it. Sorry, Kaza. So it's because I'm not wearing my glasses, because the screen's just far enough away that I can't see properly, and I just went into autopilot. I apologise, Kaza.
Yeah.
Telling off noted and taken. But yeah, I am going to get off my high horse now. But
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody who's
yes,
spoken in the comment section. That it really gives me hope, because
it does,
the
doesn't
last
it?
weeks we've been around a lot of negativity, and yeah, there was one I wanted to pick up on. Ashley's. Let's focus on where these energies are coming from. It's the bait and switch. So generate outrage against a group of people to hide the real facts behind social and economic deprivation. Exactly. It's about aggravating and winding up and pitching people against a minority, so that we're not looking over here at what's really going on and what policies are really doing some damage. Which isn't about changing rooms or bathrooms or anything else. It's about stripping away our quality of life at the minute, which is it's really, yeah. So,
Yeah.
and it frustrates me that people can't see that, and then they're so easily led down this rabbit hole of, oh my god, all of these people, millions and millions of people over here are gonna strip away everything that we hold dear. You're not talking about millions of people. Hang on, you know.
People tend to believe what they see. I remind people that you can fake things now. You can fake things. I can take a photo of you and put you wherever I want, doing whatever I want,
Yeah,
with very little effort. Once upon a time, you had to be an expert in Photoshop. Now you just need a photo and the right words and a couple of buttons, and you're away.
yeah.
You have to discern. Giles from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You need to hone. You need to be of discerning mind and look for more than one source of information in order to get to the real truth of things. I could easily take a photo of me and Tony right now and, pretend that we are in the Bahamas. We ain't. People will spout information and facts. When I say a statistic, when I say a number, when I say what something I believe, I don't expect you to take my word for it. I want you to go off and look at the sources, look at the information. Don't just stick to the same pool of information, because some of those pools can get a bit stagnant sometimes. But go out and look for yourself. Look with your own eyes. I've started doing memes again. I did a meme at the beginning of the week because, frankly, I just got to say, well done, mother. Where there's life, there's hope, Tony. And for me, it was Xander, but that's too much information. I just want to go on my Facebook page a second, because I did a meme on Monday, and I know many people have seen it, but not probably everybody. That bloke, Eddie, gets everywhere. I open up Facebook and he's the first person I see. I did this meme on Monday because I was just so grumpy and I needed to get my opinions out without getting into an argument. And this is what I said. Guided by spirit, absolutely, but my sentiment was there. You can tell a lot about the heart by the lens through which the eyes see the world. You can tell a lot about the heart by the lens through which the eyes see the world. And that can be right on and true on many different levels. From those that have experienced pain, they will only see pain in the world. Those that have experienced joy will only see joy in the world. But people that are driven by hatred will only see hatred in the world. And it is their own hatred that is being reflected out, because there has to be an enemy, there has to be an other. The whole point of spirituality, somebody said this the other day, and I'm afraid I can't credit it. I would love to be able to. There was this comment about spirituality. And if anybody can remember where I saw it from, if they've seen it before and know who said this, please say so in the comments, because I like to give credit where credit's due. But they said the whole point of spirituality is to break away and let go of the human traits of evolution. We as a human species are very much driven by the force of evolution. And the force of evolution drives us to fight against that which is different, drives us to fear that which is unusual or different. But the whole point of spirituality and civilization is to learn to rise above and grow away from that, not allow a small group of people force us down that road even more. And this is what's happening. I genuinely believe 99.999% of the world's population are just honest, decent people who want to get on with it and live their lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we get pulled down this slurry.
Yes. We got pulled down something, and
we both said.
I didn't mean to.
Do you know what? I've got to be honest. We both kind of said, let's leave it alone for a couple of weeks. Let's let the dust settle a little bit. Let's not. But that's the way the conversation went.
It is.
You know,
it is.
because it is, my friend, I've got to be honest, a paradigm and a macrocosm of the problems in this world we have right now.
Mm-hmm.
It is one instant of the same problem.
Yeah.
Opposition to individuality, opposition to each other. And if there is to be a peaceful uprising of hope and joy, it is for all of us to stand up and say, in the words of Eminem, my name is, and be proud of it.
The other ask I would have for people who are watching this today is to find somebody in the street and just say, you are heard, you are seen, you are loved.
Yep. Absolutely. You'd be surprised what smile does.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that Spike Milligan poem about a smile is contagious.
Yeah.
That's all I want. I want us as a group of people to make a pandemic out of uniqueness and love and compassion. We may not, Nick and I and Michael and I don't agree with each other 1000% of the time. We have differences of opinion.
Nick, from 1%.
And Nick will post something and I'll read it and think, what are you going on about?
Yeah.
But we have that respect for each other where we can say, okay, that's fine. You know,
Yeah.
You do you.
Having a day.
Yeah. So just, even if it's one person a week, just say to somebody, I hear you, I see you, you are loved.
Yes. Now there's a t-shirt.
Blue, our friend, was wearing one the other day and it said, dear person behind me, the world is a better place with you in it. Love the person in front of you. I love it. It. That's what we need. That's what we need. We don't need divisiveness. We don't want difference. We want to celebrate difference.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think we've come to a Tony Bow there.
Really have. On the subject of t-shirts, I was thinking the one that Ashley suggested as merch. I could wear wherever I went in my own life. You know, I could wear it at church and I could wear it at Pride. I might not have the stuffing, but I've got the sausages. Um,
Yeah. No. Oh, thank you.
note.
Thank you, Mama Brown.
Yeah.
You are too. You are too.
We are feeling the love today. You know, I've got to be honest. I really will be honest. I felt absolutely crabby. I felt absolutely knackered. I haven't had much sleep this week. It's that needs to be on a t-shirt.
I like the meme the other day I saw that said, if you don't like gay marriage, don't marry a gay.
Yeah. There's been some right. I think we should end with a positive. There has been some really, really horrendous stuff on the internet lately. I've got to be honest, but there has been some absolutely beautiful stuff on there as well, from people that know they are perceived in a certain way and breaking those boundaries and barriers and norms. This is a bit naughty. I'm past caring. There's this man. He's got a cowboy hat and a huge bushy beard, and he's dressed in a certain way, and he stands there and he goes, "Those liberals are coming for our guns. I tell you, you come and take my gun off me. You come and lay your soft, supple liberal hands on me." And the conversation kept going until there was a lot more intimacy. And he said, and at the end of it, he goes, "You judged me for the way I look, but I can tell you now, I won't. Just come and give me a hug." And it was like, oh, the world isn't broken. And this is the thing, my friends. Go out. This is something I've done with some of the people that I work with. We've got something called ISAT. There's a group of us. We've got this group page called ISATV. We share interesting documentaries and funny memes with each other. I know because I've put you on my mailing list, Tony. When I'm on Instagram,
Yes.
something that I found really, really silly, really, really daft, really, really stupid, but would just make people laugh and shift that paradigm. I will share it. So I'm going to say, on the Two Revs Facebook page, www.facebook.com/groups/Two Revs, I am going to create one of those special subjected chat groups.
Oh, yes. Yes.
If people would like to join it, it will simply just be for funny videos that shift the paradigm and make you laugh and bring a smile in that day, that make you realize that the world is a better place than it looks at is at the moment, that there is more fun, there is more laughter, and that it is seeping through and bleeding through. Let's keep it reasonably polite. Let's keep it reasonably non-political, but let's make it just fun and laughter and upliftment. So every day we have a giggle and share our giggles and share the things that we laugh at and that we find funny. It will have to be a little bit moderated, but I don't think you'll get banned, Eddie. It will have to be a little bit moderated for the fact that there's a huge group of people that will be very different kind of personalities. But for the most part, so long as it's reasonably clean, I'm not saying perfect because I'm not. So long as it's reasonably clean, the rule is so long as it's funny and makes people laugh, let's share it. Casa, I'll be the first to join. I've got a list. So I quite often it's on Instagram, but I don't have everybody on Instagram. So I want something on Facebook. So there'll be Instagram and YouTube videos as well as Facebook ones. But what do you reckon, Tony? Is that a good idea? We'll call it the Giggle Till You Piddle.
Yes. 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 I watched The Giggle the other day.
Yes.
Yes. I was revisiting.
Yes. I like the Giggle. I like the Giggle. Especially
life section, chef's kiss.
Absolutely.
We may have lost some people in the chat there.
Oh well, never mind. Friends, we've definitely made up for the fact we weren't here last week, and the shortness of the first one. I think it's safe to say, my friends, we are back. Thank you all for the wonderful conversations, the wonderful comments. Thank you all for, as I was saying, it's been a rough couple of days and I felt a little bit crotchety. Thank you for re-establishing my faith in the human race. It really does make a difference. So carry on being your most authentic and uplifting selves. And I say thank you, Tony.
I just want to say, you are seen, you are heard, you are loved.
Amen, brother.
Yeah.
And so, on this Friday afternoon at 17:44, have a wonderful week. What's left of it, have a wonderful weekend. And it's good night from him.
And it's good night from him.
God bless, my friends. And remember, even if you haven't got the sausage meat, you've got the sausages.
Yeah. If you haven't got the stuffing, you've got the sausages.
Even if you haven't got the stuffing, you can still have the sausage.